Now, speaking of all things coming together at one time online, excuse me, I recently took in a presentation by a fellow named Jeff Gomez, and his company is called Starlight Entertainment, and basically they are all about that. They are all about the convergence of medias. So if you take a quick look back at the Oddly Studios archive again, you'll find a link there. Top story entitled Jeff Gomez Transmedia Production. So I just want to show a really quick clip of Jeff Gomez presenting at the NXNEi conference. And this clip is up on our YouTube channel. You can also link to it through the site itself if you wish, and then you'll be able to read a few of my thoughts down here, and there's a link to Starlight Entertainment as well if you want to check them out. And maybe I can just roll this clip for a couple of minutes.
Sometimes. And a friend of mine told me that Keider's origin, which was not in the show for some reason, could be found in a comic book that was in Japanese. I had to go to a strange store several miles away to find Keider's origin, and then I had to get a friend to translate the story to me. Now, the Keider series ended as most live-action Japanese children's shows end these days, and that's with almost everyone dead. I don't understand it, but it was amazing. And the central battle was unresolved. Keider had not conquered the villain. So I didn't know what to do. but then I learned it was a feature film done in Japan that finished the story. So that film came to Hawaii and was in a theater that was like 10 miles away from my house on the bad side of Honolulu. Believe it or not, it wasn't. Well, I couldn't get anybody to take me. So I had to figure out which bus went out there. And by myself for the first time, I got on that bus and journeyed into the seedy area of Honolulu. Walked into this decrepit movie theater, put my feet off the floor and hugged them because I did not know what was moving around down there, and watched Keider take on all of the monsters that were in the series before kicking the ass of a final villain. On my way back home, I thought, this is what I want to do.
So for me, this is one of the most interesting and insightful presentations that I took in at NXNEi. Definitely watch this video. This is something that everybody needs to see. What Mr. Gomez goes on to do after this is explain the idea of transmedia production or transmedia communication. And essentially he breaks it down as taking an intellectual property, and they've worked with some really big ones like Halo, Prince of Persia, Hot Wheels, and so forth. And what they do is they first of all establish canon for this particular property. In other words, they lay out the entire universe that this thing lives inside of. Now, that might not sound so unusual. A lot of brands have style guides, for instance, but the difference between the canon and the style guide, as I understand it, is that when you have canon, you're free to present that intellectual property across a wide variety of mediums in the way that best suits the medium. So in other words, you don't have a television production basically being jammed into a website, but you use the interactive medium to the best way possible within the guidelines of the canon. So that's one thing that this company enables. The other is that they look for opportunities to build bridges between the various mediums. And Jeff goes on to give a few examples of that in his presentation. And I think they have a very unique and insightful take on the way that young people consume their medias today. Basically, they want to become involved in the brands and properties that they are consuming. They want it to be available to them at any time, in any fashion that they wish, be it from a text message to a website, to something available on mobile, to a piece of video, seeing it in a theater, reading it in a book, picking up the graphic novel, etc., etc., on it goes. And so I think there's going to be increasingly a need for companies like Starlight Runner Entertainment who kind of shepherd the property across all of these different mediums, freeing them up to present it in the best way possible in each medium, but making sure that it stays consistent across the entire universe of this property. It's probably a little bit too much to talk about just in one session on Oddly Sunday, but if you watch the video, I hope that you'll get a lot of thoughts and ideas out of that as well. And if you want to leave a comment on the Oddly Studios site, then please feel free to do so, and maybe we can get a bit more discussion going around this idea of transmedia production that has me so very fascinated. One of the reasons why I'm particularly interested in what Mr. Gomez and Starlight Runner are doing is that I see a lot of programs in college and university that are considered, sort of programs that you take in order to figure out what you're going to take. In other words, they have a broad base and they're kind of general. For instance, I went through digital media arts, and in that program we covered, 3D, a bit of video compositing and layout, lighting. We covered script writing, we covered creative writing, Flash, both in terms of graphic design and programming. In other words, it's kind of all over the place. And I think sort of the expectation is that when you finish that, you'll know kind of the lay of the land and what it is you actually want to do, and then you'll go and specialize in that. More and more so, I'm finding that there's a place for people who have that wide base of understanding and can work with various teams of people to coordinate a project across a variety of mediums. You don't always find that. You don't always find people that can lay out and light a shot, but can also program a website. And I suppose the risk is that you wind up not being particularly good in any of these things. However, if you were to read the book Glimmer, that talks about the work of Bruce Mao, and you will find that this is a guy who is all over the place in terms of his design skills. Designs everything from physical objects to virtual objects to disaster relief plans and rebranding of products, on and on it goes. And they talk about the phenomenon of people acquiring a wide, very wide base of knowledge and expertise, but also deep. In other words, the key being that with each new area of design and development that the person would go into, they would dive very deep, very fast, and learn everything about it that they can before going on to the next area. And they also mentioned that this is more common in the East than it is here in the West. So if you have a chance, I would check out that book Glimmer. It's very, very good.